Hello, everyone. Welcome to Powell Software's session called Breaking Through the Digital Divide, where we will be discussing how you can bring human interactions into your digital workplace. Today, your presenters are myself, Danielle Jewett, the digital workplace consultant for Powell Software, as well as my colleague.
Hi, I'm Matt Weston, and I'm the lead evangelist for the UK, so I bring the technical ability to Powell Software in the UK.
So today we'll be discussing what is the digital divide, how this affects your workforce, and how to ensure your digital workplace success.
And what we'll be looking at is how we can break through the barriers that we see, which is really separating the physical and the remote workforce. We're going to look at how we can make the digital workplace easily accessible so that everybody is included, how we can encourage people through the use of gamification, and how we can resume some of those human interactions that we miss because we're not together by bringing it into the digital world. Okay, so what we're going to start off by doing really is talking about what we mean by the digital divide. Now, 2020 and even into the start of 2021 has hugely affected the way that we work, both ourselves, but how we work together as part of a team. And we really see that divide between what we are doing ourselves and the way that our businesses generally tended to work in the past. So it comes as no surprise that we have a workforce that is now predominantly working remotely. They are working at home. And there's a number of challenges that obviously come with working at home, being able to balance that what you're doing for a work life, but also being able to balance everything that's going on in your home life. And then we've still got some people who are still working in the office, but that brings a number of challenges that come along with that. And because we've got that split workforce, we've got different ways of working, we've got different challenges that each of these audiences is facing. But ultimately, what it's giving us is a number of effects on the way that we work within our day-to-day working lives.
So there are many ways that this hybrid workplace affects our day-to-day business. And one of the most important ways that it affects it is through employee engagement. And so when we talk about engaging employees in a hybrid workplace, we're talking about how people that are working from home and people who are working from the office are engaged in different ways now. So now we need to have a workplace that supports both of their needs. And that's when we're talking about the hybrid workplace. And so it becomes extremely important to be able to make sure that your employees can have a platform in which they're productive and they can exchange on to keep up the employee productivity when we're working from these two different places. And then, of course, this includes business transformation. So should you not have been used to working digitally before the COVID crisis, you'll need to be able to transform your business to cover these needs for both those at home and in the office, so that they can continue to work like they did before when everybody was at the office, so that we can keep up that employee productivity as well as that company culture.
And I think what Danny's actually just touched on there are some of the key points around where organizations are really struggling. So a lot of people are struggling because they haven't been able to break through that digital divide, being able to maintain all of these things. When we're physically together, these things are fairly straightforward. It's what we do as a human race, but we don't do it as naturally when we're not together. So the effects that we've seen, because we are now working in this hybrid way, we're having to rely more so on the digital activity. This is where we see the digital divide coming. Is the ability to is not being able to maintain these levels of activity around these points. But there are things that we can do to really try and help us address some of the points that we've just been raising. And the first question I'm going to ask, and think about this for a moment, is where does the digital workplace begin? So we've really spoken about this whole concept of a digital workplace. We have to talk about a digital workplace because that's how we keep the company together. But where does it start? Where does it end? And those are the sorts of things that we're really trying to challenge. So as an example, certainly we operate in the Microsoft space. We spend a lot of time working within the Microsoft tools. But not everybody works in exactly the same way. People find their own natural ways of working. Even when we're working physically, none of us work in exactly the same way. So we need to ensure that when we're talking about a digital workplace, that everything we do to maintain that company culture, to maintain that productivity, to maintain that engagement has to be available in as many different ways as possible. Some people like to work in browsers. A lot of people will fire up a browser. It means that they can log on from any device. It means that they don't have to physically be on a company machine in order to be able to access the information and be able to work. But they might also be working within a collaboration space. So those collaboration spaces could be, for example, the likes of Microsoft Teams, the likes of Slack. Those places where we work and we interact and we communicate that isn't just sat in front of a document or in our inbox doing our day-to-day work. These are the areas where we start to find where we are being productive. But we need to make sure that our digital workplace encompasses that collaboration space and doesn't exclude it. It's all about bringing it together. But like I mentioned earlier on, we're also not just bound to a single device anymore. So now we need to be able to bring our digital workplace, not just to a PC, not just to a Mac, but to a tablet, to a phone. Because we are working so remotely, we see huge trends in a lot of people now spending more time interacting and accessing information on their mobile device. And really the whole point around all of this is accessibility. It's making it so easy to access that there's no reason why, or there's no isolation for people being able to access company information, being able to access what we need to be able to do our work. Bringing everything in so that our digital workplace encompasses people is not a chore for people to actually do that. But even with all these considerations in mind, bringing the digital workplace to everybody's fingertips in the simplest way possible, we also need to give that encouragement for people to be able to come in and start interacting, to start engaging. And really, that's where we start to look at maybe gamifying the way that we work. So when we talk about gamification, we're talking about fun, engaging, those types of terms that get people involved with what you want them to be involved with. So one of the biggest challenges we see at the moment with a remote workforce and a hybrid workforce is about how we get people back involved with the company, driving those interactions, driving that engagement. Now, if you can make it fun, then you are going to get people willingly come and take part in what you want them to take part in. And because we are having that engagement, we're having that gamification, we're having fun, you know what, that comes with a number of benefits.
Thank you, Matt. It definitely comes with a number of benefits when we're using gamification to bring those people in the physical workplace as well as their personal workplaces to the common environment, which of course becomes the digital workplace. So when we're talking about gamification, we're talking about improving employee productivity, increasing motivation for them to visit the digital workplace and to digest all of the information that you have there, as well as giving them the power to share this information across multiple platforms. So here at Powell, one of the ways that we promote gamification within the digital workplace is through employee advocacy. And the way that we do this is we allow for our employees to earn points and we encourage healthy competition around sharing information about the company through different platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, and even LinkedIn. And this is really great because not only does this encourage your employees to take action and strengthen your company culture, but it also keeps them engaged to what's going on within the company itself. So those normal interactions within the office where you're talking about what's happening and what's the latest news within your company now needs to go digital. And this is one of the ways that we support that.
And I think the way that we reward that gamification is with badges, isn't it? So everybody loves a badge. Everyone loves that recognition, that reward. So being able to drive that through into a digital workplace just gets that involvement, gets everybody almost like that little bit of healthy competition that we would normally have when we're all sat in the office together.
Okay, perfect. So everything that Matt and I have talked about today has a common theme, which is incorporating the fun aspects of our jobs in the digital workplace, making sure that employees are engaged, even within the hybrid work, in the same way that they were within the office. So I know that one of the things that I miss the most about being in the physical office is the coffee breaks and going to co-working and be able to chat over a cup of coffee, a glass of water with my colleagues about all things that are interesting, not only at the company, but also in our personal lives. So one of the ways that we're dealing with this internally here at Powell is we actually use our Microsoft Teams application called Powell Teams to help us rebuild our virtual building. And the way that we do this is that the application allows for us, depending on our team, to organize random meetings for 15 to 20 minutes where we're able to meet new employees and discuss with members outside of our team, so people that we don't get to see every day in the digital workplace, in this digital divide. And we're able to have these coffee meetings so that we stay connected with everybody at Powell and that we keep our company culture strong. Now I really like this because I know that part of my job is training newcomers within the company. So I really like to keep them involved in these coffee meetings to make sure that they're meeting other people and they're being encouraged to meet people outside of their normal day-to-day groups, which is something that's really hard to do once we're in this hybrid work situation. And I look forward to my coffee meetings every week, as this is one of the things I miss the most about office work.
Cool. Thank you for that, Danny. So what we've really spoken about there is some of the ways that we as an organization really break through the digital barriers that we are seeing, starting to close down that digital divide, making people at home feel like they are part of the overall company experience. And so what we are doing and what we are providing you the ability to do is create a mainstream experience, for both in-office and remote employees. It's not one group or another, and we shouldn't think of people in that way. We should be bringing them together. We are still one organization. We are still one company. We're looking at ways that we can make our digital workplace easily accessible. And some of the ways that we've spoken about was being across different devices. Very simply being able to access everything from either a mobile, or even from my desktop. But also looking at the different environments where we work, so that we can make the information, we can make the company, the organization, and that culture available to everybody, regardless of where they decide to work. And what we spoke about was, okay, so how do we get people involved? Let's gamify something. Let's start to look at ways that we can drive that engagement. Let's make it a little bit of fun. We all respond to fun, so we can really bring that through into our digital workplace. And the more we do this, the more involved people are going to be getting. And then we rounded it off with a fantastic look at bringing back our social interactions. So it's too easy for us to be able to just isolate away while we're all working remotely. So let's look at some of the ways that our digital workplace can help us to bring back those social interactions. Again, really bringing down that digital divide. And really, that's what we do as a company. Powell Software helps with the success and adoption of the intranet of the digital workplace. So at that point, we'd like to thank you for your time, and we'd like to invite any questions.